All right, let's talk about a huge challenge for, well, pretty much any modern workplace: the absolute explosion of cloud applications. I mean, think about it. From collaboration tools to file storage, our employees are using more apps than ever just to get their jobs done. But, with all that convenience comes risk. So, how do you actually tame this digital Wild West? Let's dive in and find out. So, I want to start by asking you a question, and I want you to really think about it for your own organization. Can you, right now, with 100% certainty, list every single cloud service your team is using to store or share company data? If you're hesitating even a little bit, you are definitely not alone. And that is the core problem we're going to unpack today. And this problem, it actually has a name: shadow IT. It's what happens when employees, usually with the best intentions, start using apps that haven't been vetted or approved by the IT department. Look, they're just trying to be productive, but what they might be doing is creating massive security blind spots, and they probably don't even realize it. To really get a handle on the risk here, let's take a look at a typical before state. This is an organization that doesn't have any specific cloud app security controls in place yet. We're going to follow a pretty typical employee just to see how invisible this whole problem can be. So, this is Pradeep. He's just a regular employee trying to get through his daily checklist. It's important to remember he's not a bad actor. He's just using the tools that he thinks are the most efficient, whether they're officially company approved or not. So Pradeep's day gets started. He logs into Microsoft Forms, that's a sanctioned company app, to create a quick survey. It works like a charm. No warnings, no pop-ups. A few minutes later, he realizes he needs a file that's in his personal Dropbox. No problem. He just navigates there, logs in, grabs the file, and again, zero friction, no blocks. Here's the scary part. From an IT perspective, he's a ghost. For the IT team, it's like none of this ever even happened. Okay, so this is where our IT administrator finally steps into the picture. They know this kind of unmonitored activity is going on, and they need to build some, let's call them digital guardrails, to get some visibility and control. And their tool of choice for this is going to be Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. The first rule of security is pretty simple. You can't protect what you can't see. So the admin's very first move isn't to go in and start blocking things left and right. It's simply to listen, to discover what's actually being used out there on the network. And this is where that raw data becomes incredibly powerful. The Cloud App Catalog doesn't just give you a list of apps, it assesses them. It gives you a risk score that's based on dozens of different factors. So you can see here Microsoft Forms has a high score. That's good. It means it's considered trustworthy. But then you look over at Dropbox, it has a lower score of 3, which indicates a higher risk based on this organization's standards. This right here is the data the admin needs to start making some really informed decisions. Okay, so based on that risk score and the company's policy, the decision is pretty clear. Dropbox is not an approved application for work files. So armed with this data, the admin makes a simple but really powerful move. They tag Dropbox as unsanctioned. That one little action is about to set a brand new rule in motion. But blocking isn't the only tool in the toolbox. For a sanctioned app like Microsoft Forms, the admin doesn't want to block it, of course, but they do want visibility. They want to know when certain users are accessing it. And for that, they're going to create something called a session control policy. And the process for creating this policy is actually surprisingly simple. The admin just goes into Microsoft Entra ID's Conditional Access. First, they target a specific user, in this case, Pradeep. Second, they select the app, Microsoft Forms. And third, they apply a session control to monitor only. This is basically telling the system, hey, when Pradeep goes to Forms, let him in, but I want you to route his session through Defender for Cloud Apps so we can see what's going on. Okay, so the admin has set the rules of the road. Now, let's jump back over to Pradeep's perspective. How has his workday actually changed? Does all this new security stuff get in his way? Let's see. The very next time Pradeep goes to log into Microsoft Forms, he sees something new. This banner pops right up, and it explicitly tells him that his activity in this application is being monitored. Now, this isn't a block. It's just a notification. It's all about transparency. He can still get his work done, but now he's aware that IT has eyes on it. So next, just like he did before, he tries to open up Dropbox to get a file. But this time, the experience is completely different. Access denied. That little unsanctioned tag the admin applied now has teeth. The system is actively enforcing the policy, and it's stopping him from using a high-risk app for his work. And wow, this slide really captures the whole transformation perfectly. Before, it was the Wild West, right? Unrestricted access to everything with zero visibility. But now, with just two simple policies, we have a totally new reality. Monitored access to the apps we approve, blocked access to the ones we don't, and clear communication with our user. The potential for a data leak has just been slashed. But the story doesn't end with just blocking and monitoring. No, the real power comes from closing the loop, from turning all of this user activity into actionable intelligence for the security team. So let's go back to the admin's console just one last time. So inside Defender for Cloud Apps, the admin can now pull up the activity log. You can think of this as a super detailed security camera just for cloud app usage. Every single significant action that's being monitored is recorded right here, and that creates a crystal clear audit trail. So when the admin filters from Microsoft Forms, what pops up? They see Pradeep Gupta's successful logon. And crucially, they see the detail that this session was controlled and monitored by the exact policy they just created. They have proof. The guardrails are working just like they're supposed to. And it gets even better. The admin doesn't have to sit there staring at a log all day long. They also configured an alert policy. So the moment Pradeep's monitored session began, an email was automatically fired off to the security team. This totally shifts the posture from being reactive and having to investigate to being proactive and aware. Okay, so we just walked through a very specific scenario, right? With Pradeep, Dropbox, and Forms. But let's zoom out for a second. What's the big takeaway here? Why does this level of granular control matter so much in today's world? Well, the first major takeaway is all about consolidation. Everything we just saw, the discovery, the risk assessment, creating policies, blocking, monitoring, and alerting, it was all done within a single integrated toolset. There's no need to try and stitch together a bunch of different products to get this kind of result. So, just to recap the whole process, it all starts with visibility. Finally getting an answer to that question, what apps are we even using? Then you use risk assessment to make smart data-driven decisions. This lets you have granular control, where you can apply the right action for the right app. It's not just a simple on or off switch. And finally, it all ties together with alerting, which makes sure your team is always in the know. And that really brings us to the final thought. The power of these tools is that they turn the unknown into the known. They shine a massive spotlight on all that shadow IT. So the real question isn't if you should control your cloud apps. It's, now that you can see them all laid out in front of you, which ones are you going to control first?
In this section of Microsoft Identity and Access Administrator, we'll go through the lab of Defender for Cloud Apps, application discovery, and enforcing restrictions. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps utilize logs from network traffic to identify the applications that users are accessing. So traffic logs from on-premise firewalls will provide a snapshot report on the most common applications and the users that are accessing these apps. And traffic from managed devices will be fed into the Microsoft Defender uh, for Cloud Ops Discovery Overview dashboard. So let's start the lab. So very first thing that we need to do, connect to Azure portal. Here I have connected to um, security or Defender portal. So when you are after connection, check that Cloud Ops or Cloud Apps section. And here you can see that Cloud App Catalog. Select that option or menu. So here you can see that different filters options available. Above, you can filter based on category, based on app tag, risk score, security risk factor, compliance factor, and you can see the different types of applications, which category is that one, and also you can see that risk score. You can also customize columns that if you want, then you can set that up. But now we are going to look for um, uh, cloud storage. So you can see that category section, select that option and search for mm, cloud storage. Select that option and then click apply. And if you see that the risk score, you can find respective cloud stress level, risk factor 1 here. Now open a new browser and search for dropbox.com. So you can see you are able to access this site. Now close this tab. Now when you are back into Defender, select that the okay, find the Dropbox, click that one, and here you can see that there is a sanction option. You can click that one, and you can get all other properties also to see notes, edit app details, different other options. And down below we can also see the different options available like general category, then security related, um, compliance related options, also legal. So yeah, there are different options. You can get all those information down below. Now let's sanction this one. So for that, click this option. You can see that sanction, and you can see the tag added successfully message. Then I can close this one. So if you see that it is now sanctioned app. So it marked here. You can also do that one by going through. If you search that one, like search box here, only for Dropbox, or you can also go there, or you can also see that sanction option down up level, so you can do that one. So if I go the Dropbox only, let's say search box, you can see that one, that option is available. So you can filter that one, and header section you can see different options available. Now to restrict that one, restrict app in Defender for cloud apps. So now what we can do, that can see that status here. Then you can see that there is a tag app sanction unsanctioned. If I select that unsanctioned, apps with the unsanctioned tag will be blocked by Microsoft Defender for endpoint. So click Save button, and you can see that is now unsanctioned app. So this process will allow you to block application that are not sanctioned within your company policy, limiting shadow IT within organization. So normally when you set this up, it can take time. You may need to wait up to 5 minutes. So once the application has been blocked as unsanctioned, the application will not be accessible through browser, in private browser, or stored download on a client that is onboarded to Microsoft Defender for endpoint, which integrated with Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. So that complete this lab. We'll go through now next lab. This lab was for cloud apps application discovery and enforcing restriction. In our next lab, we'll go through Defender for cloud apps access and session policies. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps allows us to create mm, additional conditional access policies specific to the cloud apps that we are monitoring. Creating these policies can be done from within the cloud, like control menu within the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps portal. So I'll share this Microsoft Client GitHub link so that you can follow this document when you do into your own system or own lab environment. So let's start this lab now. So for that, open a in private window and connect to Microsoft Forms. Let me log in there. So you can see that Microsoft Forms opens and not Pradeep is not getting any warning message. So now close this incognito or private browsing window. Now let's go back to here that Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Defender, and that is previous lab. So this is Microsoft Entra. Now here let's go to Conditional Access Policies menu. Under Entra ID, you can see that conditional access. Click that option. Now create a new policy and give a policy name. Let's give that monitor Pradeep using forms. Monitor using forms Pradeep. Under assignment, choose that zero users or agents selected. Then here include section. Select users and groups. Select users and groups. Then here select Pradeep. Select Pradeep Gupta and then click on select button. Now under target resources, click that no target resources selected. Now here select resources, none is default. Now select resources, select there and select specific resources, select that none option. Here we are going to form Microsoft Forms. Let's search for forms. So to Microsoft Forms, select that option and after that if you see that access control, they are under session 0 control selected. Select that option and here select use conditional access app control. And underneath that select that monitor only and then click on select button. And under enable policy select that on and then click on create. So successfully created monitoring using forms for Pradeep. Now if you go to policies, we can see that policies here. So now let's open a in private window and connect to Microsoft Forms as Pradeep user. Let me log in there. So we can see that Pradeep has access, and that we got a new message here, like access to Microsoft Forms is monitored. So if you'd like to use it, just kind of then click continue to Microsoft Forms. So just let the user know that he is monitored, that he is using some applications. So in our next section, we are going to set up alerts in Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. So registering your application establishes a trust relationship between your applications and the Microsoft Identity Platform. The trust is unidirectional. Your app trusts the Microsoft Identity Platform, but this is not the other way around. So for that, let's connect to the Microsoft Defender or security portal. Now from here, under Cloud Ops section, you can see that policies options. From here, select that policy management. To create a policy, select that create policy. And there is a different options available. So select that access policy. Give a policy name. So I give a name like monitor Microsoft Forms access. Then leave the category. You can see that category, there is options. So I'm just giving that access control options. And if you go down, you can give a description. Then here, activities matching all of the following section. Select the drop down for Intune compliant Microsoft Entra hybrid joined. And here, unselect that Microsoft Entra hybrid joined. And then select the drop down for select apps. And here, select the Microsoft Forms. Then action section, select the test find default one. And under alerts, leave like you can see that create an alert for each matching event with the policy severity. So save as default settings, but here check that send alert as an email. And here, so let's send an alert. So give an email address. So let me put it here, lab admin email address. Press enter. Then next, taking default daily alert limit per policy. Default is fine 5. Can go up to 50. Okay, then click on create button to create the access policy. Access policy is being set, so it's creating now. So we can see that access policy is created. So now let's log in private window. So here we can see that the message that company is monitoring the uses of these applications. So we can close this in private window. So we have seen like create and test the conditional access app control policy. And then we also check that set up alerts in Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. So in our next task, we are going to review an activity in Defender for cloud apps. So to view the activity in Defender, we need to go to that under cloud apps section. You can see that activity log. Select that option. And then you see that there is a filter option is there for apps. So select that filter option and search for like look for Microsoft Forms. And there we can see for Pradeep's information in relate to sign-on records. So that was all for this lab. If you have any questions, add that into comment section. Otherwise, I'll see you into next lab.